She used to believe that exhaustion was proof she was doing something right, that if she felt tired most nights, if her calendar stayed full, if her inbox never reached zero, it meant she was building something solid, responsible, mature. It took her years to notice that the tiredness was not from effort, it was from holding herself in place. At 32, she had what most people described as stability, a senior role in a respected company, predictable income, health insurance, a mortgage approved without friction. Her parents spoke about her with relief in their voices. Friends asked her for advice about negotiations and promotions. On paper, she had made the smart decision. 5 years earlier, she had been offered two paths. One was uncertain, a smaller firm, lower base salary, performance-based upside, high exposure, high risk, the kind of opportunity that could accelerate or collapse depending on variables no one could fully control. The other was structured. Corporate, defined promotion tracks, clear hierarchy, modest but reliable raises, the kind of place that would not make her rich quickly, but would not let her fall easily either. She chose structure. Not because she was afraid, because she was practical. She told herself that stability would give her options later, that once she had savings, credibility, leverage, then she could pivot. Then she could experiment. Then she could take risks from a position of strength. Later became a comfortable word. In the beginning, the job felt like progress. She learned systems. She mastered internal politics. She became dependable. Managers trusted her. Her performance reviews were consistent and reliable, composed, strategic. Reliable became her brand, and reliability has a quiet cost. In meetings, she noticed how often she spoke last, not because she lacked ideas, but because she was calculating alignment. What was safe to propose? What would move her forward without friction? What would not threaten the comfort of those above her? She became good at anticipating what the room wanted before the room knew it. That skill earned her promotions. It also softened her edges. There were months when she barely noticed the shift. Salary adjustments arrived. Bonuses deposited. Her emergency fund grew. Her mortgage balance shrank. She optimized her retirement contributions. Financially, she was responsible. Emotionally, she was narrowing. The smaller firm she had declined expanded. She saw their announcements online, funding rounds, new offices, former colleagues stepping into visible leadership roles. Not all of them succeeded. Some left quietly, some disappeared from her network, but some accelerated. She did not feel envy. She felt something more subtle, a question she avoided naming. At work, she trained new hires who were sharper than she had been at their age. They admired her stability, asked how she had figured it out so early. She smiled and gave measured answers about discipline and long-term thinking. Inside, she noticed something uncomfortable. The company did not depend on her, it appreciated her. There is a difference. When budgets tightened 1 year, projects were restructured. Teams consolidated. She survived the cuts. Her performance was too consistent to ignore. But she watched high earners, bold personalities, strategic risk-takers leave, some voluntarily, some not. The system protected her. It also kept her. Her raises were predictable, her title increments incremental. She could forecast her income 5 years ahead with reasonable accuracy. There is comfort in predictability. There is also confinement. One evening, she stayed late finishing a report no one would remember in 6 months. The office was quiet. The cleaning staff moved through the hallways. She looked at the city lights from the window and tried to calculate something she had never modeled before. If she stayed exactly where she was, performing exactly as she had been, what would her professional identity look like in 10 years? Competent, respected, replaceable. The word surprised her. She had optimized for safety, for smooth progression, for approval. She had not optimized for irreplaceability. Irreplaceability requires risk. It requires visible bets. It requires being wrong publicly before being right decisively. She had built a career around not being wrong. There is an invisible trade-off in that strategy. When you protect your downside aggressively, you often flatten your upside quietly. Her savings account grew steadily. Her investment portfolio diversified. Her credit score remained excellent. Her ambition adjusted downward without announcing it was doing so. At 35, she was promoted again. A larger team, more responsibility, slightly higher pay, a corner office without a corner view. Her parents celebrated. Her manager called her a pillar. Pillars hold structures in place. They rarely move. She began noticing how often she postponed decisions that carried volatility. Speaking up about strategic pivots, proposing new revenue experiments, asking for equity instead of salary increases, exploring external opportunities that did not come with guarantees. Each postponement felt rational. Timing is important, she would tell herself, but timing can also become a permanent excuse. One weekend, she met an old colleague for coffee, someone who had chosen the smaller firm years earlier. He looked more tired than she expected, less polished, but when he spoke about his work, there was velocity in his language, not comfort, movement. He had lost money in 1 year, gained significantly in another, changed roles twice, made decisions that failed publicly. He did not sound stable. He sounded alive. She returned home and opened her financial planning spreadsheet. It was immaculate, projections aligned, retirement on track, conservative assumptions. For the first time, she added a new column, opportunity cost, not theoretical returns, not hypothetical startups, but the cost of staying exactly where she was for another 5 years, the cost of never testing the upper boundary of her capacity, the cost of becoming known only inside one building. The number was impossible to quantify. That made it harder to ignore. At work, she started observing something she had filtered out for years: how easily systems absorb dependable people, how stability rewards compliance, how companies design promotion ladders that feel like growth but operate like containment. None of it was malicious. It was structural, and she had aligned herself perfectly with it. There is a version of success that feels responsible, and there is a version that expands you. They are not always the same. She did not resign dramatically. She did not confront her leadership. She did not announce a bold pivot. Clarity for her arrived quietly. She realized that the life she had built was not wrong. It was simply optimized for a specific variable: safety. And safety over long horizons compounds into sameness if unchallenged. The realization did not make her reckless. It made her restless. There is a difference. She began asking different questions in meetings, proposing ideas without pre-testing them for approval, volunteering for initiatives that carried visible accountability, updating her professional network with intention instead of nostalgia. Small shifts, but deliberate ones. She did not yet know whether she would leave. She only knew that staying by default was no longer acceptable. The most unsettling thought was not that she had chosen stability. It was that she had mistaken stability for permanence. For years, she believed she was buying time. Now she wondered if time had been buying her, and she could not yet tell which one of them was getting the better deal.